going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Anthony, and today is a special occasion because today is the very first episode of the Cinema Titans alongside my good friend Mario. Say hello to all the YouTubers out there.
What's up, peeps?
He knows what he's talking about when it comes to movies. And what better way to kick off the first episode of the Cinema Titans than reviewing the 2018 Netflix movie, The Titan, starring Sam Worthington, Taylor Schilling, and Tom Wilkinson. If you didn't know, The Titan tells the story of a ravaged Earth that takes place in 2092, and in order to get away from Earth, they have to colonize a different area of space. So they pick one of Saturn's biggest moon, Titan. And in that, we see the Doctor, played by Tom Wilkinson, who actually is the one behind all these experiments, and from then on we see different changes in different ways of how the experiment happens. You could say it's kind of similar to the Russian sleep experiment, but it's different. It's not more of a horror movie, it's more of a sci-fi take on it.
No, I would say like sci-fi thriller-ish.
Yeah, it's done interestingly, but there are many plot points in the movie that are, don't make any sense.
No.
Basically, spoiler alert, they want to find a new human race, and the character of Collinswood.
I think it's more like create human race. I think that was his whole point.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much as a finding. It was more of like he wanted to create. It's another spoiler, but it was more of like a forced evolutionary change.
Right.
So I think how they put it.
And then with that, the new species would be called Homo titanicus, and it would evolve into different aspects of how your body is on Titan, on the moon Titan. And just seeing the process of how Sam Worthington's character goes through it with the shedding of the skin and seeing different aspects of things. And I think the only biggest thing that happened was the shedding of the skin. Other than that, nothing else major happened. Right?
No, I mean they did like the whole breathing experiment.
Right.
The shedding of the skin. I mean, they had minor things here and there. That was like the one scene showed like skin changes when they were doing like a dinner party.
Oh,
like his wife was actually noticing like different, like if you were, I think it was more of like an emotional response type of thing.
Okay.
So I think there was that, but it didn't really show anything other than that, which made it more confusing.
Right, because that scene right there, she was just looking around, and you're like, what is she looking at?
Yeah.
And then you see like the veins in there.
Yeah.
Like, but then she looks at her husband. He's
there's nothing.
He's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like then you knew like his transformation was like beginning, but it wasn't.
It wasn't showing.
Yeah, because evidently, like, typically speaking, like I guess you have to be in water the whole time, because his character was in water.
Yeah.
Mostly half of the movie. When his transformation was going on.
It was more water-based transformation.
Right, and you didn't know if it was like a reptilian or... They actually don't explain what the new species is. They just say it's a Homo titanicus and it's a new human for the new colonization of Titan. Here's my thing with the movie. Why colonize Titan? Why not Mars?
I remember the whole thing was just... Mars is just none... It's not even an option.
Not an option, but like in the brief scene where the Doctor's explaining it, he does say that Titan somehow is equivalent to Earth with its atmosphere and its water supply and everything. But if it's similar, why do they have to go through a transformation?
That's what they didn't really explain. Like they said it was similar, but the whole transformation was to make sure that they could sustain the levels of whatever was on Titan, which would make our atmosphere not similar to Titan at all.
If they're changing everything.
Yeah.
Like you could see, like there is a shot at the end of the movie, which I won't give away, but all of a sudden that happens, and you're like, that just
happened.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, they never explain anything about how certain things happen to him inside, and I think, to me, the strongest character in this movie is the wife.
Yeah,
she carried the movie.
She did.
And based on it, like you watch Sam Worthington, he's a good actor. He's very underrated, but he hasn't picked many movies to be good in.
Yeah, I think he's got shortened on the good movie.
Right. I mean, I don't think you would call Avatar, a stepping stone.
No,
for
I
him.
think that was more
That was luck.
given. Yeah.
Yeah, it was luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's got 5 more Avatar movies, so
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot more of Sam Worthington.
Yeah. That's kind of like saying how Chris Evans got into Captain America and just it flourished.
Yeah. Or how he played Human Torch, and then from then on, something happened. It's like, oh, he's Captain America now.
Yeah.
So, but the character of the wife in The Titan was, to me, was the one that kept everything together. She was the one that so-called was wearing the pants in the relationship. Because he was going through everything, and she was taking care of her son. And then the son even has like certain moments of like, oh, okay, he's a good character, even though he's not, doing much.
Yeah.
You can see the worry in his face.
Yeah, you can see like the kids change throughout the movie
Right, 'cause he has
as his
such a-
father's changing. Yeah.
Yeah, because he has such a special bond with his dad.
Yeah.
And when he sees his dad change into this humanoid, he's like, okay, what happened?
Yeah. The relationship takes a whole different turn.
And there is a scene in the movie where the son and after the father does change, there's a nice touching moment in there where the son was like, okay, he's still my dad.
Yeah.
And I still have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
And one thing that did surprise me was that seeing Tom Wilkinson in this movie.
Yeah, that was a kind of a shock.
He's.
Because otherwise I probably wouldn't have watched it.
I was like, I didn't know he was in it until he came on
Yeah.
the screen. I was like, oh, that's Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah.
He's playing probably the bad guy, as usual.
Yeah, you would think like he's a villain, which spoiler, he kind of was.
Yeah, there he was. And the interesting factor is that this movie is science-based. You take the whole science aspect of this movie and break it down. What can actually happen if you do get like injected with like a humanoid experiment?
Yeah, it makes you question if it's even possible for that to even happen.
Like, do you change does your body change? Because it has to change for the atmosphere. But if he said the Titan was the same atmosphere as Earth, why do you have to change? Not much change has to happen.
Here's another thing that I didn't understand. Spoiler. The carbon dioxide is supposed to be said, 98% to the oxygen's 2% on Titan?
Right, yeah.
So if they were forcing him to be able to breathe the carbon dioxide more efficiently,
right.
How is it that he was able to still so efficiently breathe oxygen on this planet? Wouldn't it have been more of a troublesome symptom, if you would?
That's true. That's true, and I think Tom Wilkinson's character said that the lungs kind of expand or become different, right?
Yeah, it's like they change, but he never really elaborated on how they changed.
Right. Because they were literally, if you watch the scenes, they're also more focused on him breathing underwater and how he was like a water fish creature. But he had no gills.
No.
no gills
it's
at all.
It's just like they lowered the amount of oxygen his body needed to survive, basically.
Right.
But never elaborated again on, is his body more carbon based now, or is it still oxygen based? Is it 50-50? What's going on?
Yeah, and they never actually elaborate on that, and that's where certain plot points and plot holes come into this movie.
There's a lot of plot holes.
There is.
Thinking about it now, there's a lot of plot holes.
There is, and like I said before in the video, it's kind of like the Russian sleep experiment, but it's dumbed down. It's not over the top crazy. There are a few scenes where each character that is in this experiment, and they're all parts from different parts of the armed forces in the U.S., from the Navy, the Army, the Marines, and each character takes a different turn of how they are affected by this change in their body. And it's kind of interesting to see how that happens, but it's subtle in a way.
Yeah, and how each person takes it.
Yeah, but there's also one character where, spoiler alert, goes really crazy and somehow is affected to the point where he rages out, and then when he rages out, you're like, okay, is this going to happen to Sam Worthington's character?
Yeah.
But then as you watch him progress through the movie, you're like, okay, but he's so calm. He wants to change. I just wish that the creature looked a little bit different and not so plain. It's
they stole it from I don't know, the old 80s
like an old
Fishman movies.
That's what they did.
That's kind of what it looks like.
That's what they did. The sci-fi aspect of things are really interesting in this movie, but it's put down a little bit when we find out that we only get to see this new Homo Titanus for the last 35 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
It's almost like I wish they didn't dumb the movie down as much as they did.
Right. Once that character came in, it was just toned down.
It's almost like it was a different movie.
Yeah, and then his wife took over
Yeah.
as a character.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. I mean, nothing wrong with Taylor Schilling. She's a fantastic actress. But you could tell that, she did this on her time off from Orange is the New Black, because you could see that, certain aspects of her acting in that show were brought into...
Still there.
Yeah, it was still in the Titans.
Still there.
So, I mean, other than that, this movie is good, but not great. So for me, I would say that the Titan gets 3 stars out of 5. Now, I don't know about my partner over here, what he would give it, and I'm very curious to know and see what his rating is. So what would you give the Titan?
I would probably give it a solid 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it had a lot more potential to be better.
Right.
If they just didn't, like I said, dumb it down, or if they explained different situations.
Okay.
But I mean, I still think it's a solid, sci-fi movie.
Sci-fi movie.
For the ones that are out there.
So maybe like a 4 then, you would say, or no?
I think it's closer to a 4 than a 3.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So totaling that, we would give the movie a total of 7 stars out of 10. And that's a 70. So it's kind of a C minus, which is not bad.
Decent.
It's definitely a watch on Netflix if you have something to watch, or if you want to put something on for your enjoyment. And it's one of those movies where you're not paying attention, but then all of a sudden a known actor or a scene comes on, you all of a sudden pay attention to it. So that's really interesting out of how things are done. So as you may know, the Cinema Titans is produced by Marchio Productions, and there's a lot more series to come, from movie reviews, from sci-fi movies to horror movies, and horror reaction videos that you'll see here on Marchio Productions' YouTube page. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos from the Cinema Titans. And be sure you follow the Cinema Titans on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You guys can check it out and follow along. I'm Anthony.
I'm Super.
And we're the Cinema Titans. Thanks for tuning in.